is running out of time to stave off the most devastating consequences of climate change. Further delays in global action will cause us to miss the rapidly closing window to secure a livable future. Taking aggressive action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and slow the pace of climate change will help reduce the most dire consequences of global warming. At Thrive, we are committed to playing our part to drive the global transformation to climate-smart agricultural practices, and we are delighted to partner with Shell on this initiative. Aligned with Shell's Powering Progress strategy and the UN Sustainable Development Goals, we are launching the Thrive Shell Climate Smart Agriculture Challenge, a global search for key innovators with solutions that drive us towards a net zero future for agriculture. Shell has been providing the world with energy for more than 125 years and is helping to unlock more cleaner energy solutions for the years ahead. Shell's goal is to be a net zero emissions energy business by 2050. With this target, they will contribute to a net zero world where society stops adding to the total amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Becoming a net zero emissions energy business means that Shell is reducing emissions from their operations and from the fuels and other energy products they sell to customers. It also means they are capturing and storing any remaining emissions using technology or balancing them with offsets. Shell Nature-Based Solutions business invests in projects to absorb more CO2 or prevent the release of greenhouse gases, while also delivering benefits to local communities and biodiversity of the area. Carbon sequestration and more sustainable agriculture practices can deliver emission reductions as well as benefits for the farmers, such as diversifying income streams. Together, Thrive and Shell are committed to drive innovation to create a more sustainable, prosperous, inclusive, healthy, and equitable future for us all.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and greetings from Silicon Valley. Welcome to the launch of the Thrive Shell Climate Smart Challenge. I'm John Hartnett, CEO and founder of SVG Ventures Thrive, and I'm delighted to be joined here today by Julie Fairland, Vice President of Innovation Excellence at Shell. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you so much, John. Great to be here.
Awesome. Looking forward to the conversation today, and maybe just to kick things off, on our next slide, you can join in the conversation today on our social channels. Please post, share, tweet any interesting information you find, and use hashtag Thrive Shell Challenge. Thank you. On the next slide, SVG Ventures Thrive is an innovation and investment platform, and our vision is to advance food and agriculture for a more sustainable future. We are ranked as the most active ag tech investor by Crunchbase and the leading agri-food accelerator supporting global entrepreneurs. And we have over 8,000 global founders in our private network from 100 countries. The Thrive Shell Climate Smart Agriculture Challenge aims to identify and support top startup and scale-up innovators who are driving the global transformation of climate smart agriculture practices, and also addressing some of the key goals identified by the UN SDGs. Our key themes are three themes: enhance land, connect farms, and measure soil. And we're excited to hear from entrepreneurs who are addressing these key themes. We're officially launching the challenge today, and applications are open for startups and scale-ups from around the world. We will also be at the Web Summit in Portugal on November 3rd to meet entrepreneurs. And you can see our applications will close on December 11th. So please get started. And we will have our final pitch day on March in 2023. You can get more information about the challenge either using the QR code here, or you can log on to our website, thriveagrifood.com/Shell Challenge. On the next slide, this is an exciting competition and an exciting event. We're delighted to be part of this. And winners have the opportunity to receive up to 100K to develop a proof of concept. And also applications will secure placement on our Global Thrive Accelerator, which includes investment. And also selected applicants will be accepted to the Shell Game Changer program with access to coaching and funding opportunities. On the next slide, we have a large audience today. We had over 500 people from around the world. I think 66% of our audience is international. Welcome everybody. I know it may be either late in the evening or early mornings, there, but great to see such an international audience with 66 countries and obviously people from across the United States from 35 different states. And then on the next slide, you can see that we have a very large audience of entrepreneurs, corporations, and investors. And great to see that more than half the audience today are either startup or scale-up entrepreneurs. So welcome to today. Today, we're also going to do a poll. So we'll have two questions. What excites you most in terms of the climate smart agriculture? And also, what does an agri-tech startup need most? So you can start, answering those questions. They're on the same box, so you can just scroll up to kind of get the second question. On the next slide, we're also going to do an audience Q&A. And you can submit your questions, any questions you have, put them into the Q&A and we will get to them. And also, any questions that you like somebody else asking, you can upvote those as well. So please, you can roll those into us now. So now I'm delighted to introduce Julie. As mentioned, she's Shell's Vice President of Innovation Excellence, infusing Shell's technology teams with innovative capabilities and tools to power progress together. Julie previously led Shell TechWorks, Shell's entrepreneurial innovation hub in Boston, as general manager. Prior to joining Shell, Julie held senior leadership positions at Hydroid and Maritime Applied Physics Corporation. She served as an engineering duty officer and surface warfare officer in the US Navy. Julie holds 2 graduate degrees from MIT and an undergraduate degree from Harvard. Welcome, Julie. And what an impressive career you have, and I'm very impressed with the surface warfare officer. Great to hear from you. And maybe to kick things off, if you'd like to maybe share a little bit of an overview of what you're doing and what you're focused on at Shell.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the great introduction, John. And I really am so excited to be a part of this kickoff and excited to answer questions and start the conversation around this awesome challenge, and super excited to be partnering with Thrive on this. I'll give a little background of Shell. So just for my own background, as you heard, I've been with Shell for about 7 years, and I'm looking after the innovation space, which includes all kinds of capabilities that plug into our strategy. But overall, Shell, for those that are less familiar, other than maybe the brand recognition, Shell's a global energy company. We have over 80,000 employees in more than 70 countries. Our purpose is to power progress together by providing more and cleaner energy solutions. We rolled out our Powering Progress strategy in February 2021, really to accelerate the transition of our business to net zero emissions. It's designed to create value for our shareholders, customers, and society. Powering Progress, as you can see on the screen, has 4 main goals in support of our purpose and is really underpinned by our company core values and focus on safety. It's focused on working with our customers and across sectors to accelerate the transition to net zero emissions. Shell has set a target, as was mentioned in the video, to become a net zero emissions energy business by 2050. And we're doing this to support our more ambitious goals to tackle climate change as laid out in the Paris Agreement. Becoming a net zero emissions energy business means that Shell's reducing emissions from our own operations and from the fuels and energy products we sell to our customers. It also means capturing and storing any remaining emissions using technology or balancing them with offsets, which is a lot of what we're talking about today. Powering Progress also has a pillar on respecting nature by protecting the environment, reducing waste, and making a positive contribution to biodiversity. Our environmental ambitions recognize that plant and animal life is vital for the planet, and we're also focusing on using water and other resources more efficiently across all of our activities, reusing as much as we can. Then if you can go to the next slide, we'll dive in a little deeper on our nature-based solutions area. We're investing to protect and enhance natural ecosystems that capture CO2 emissions, benefit local communities, and improve biodiversity. We use the carbon credits these projects generate to help customers decarbonize by compensating for their emissions. For example, Shell offers nature-based carbon credits to business customers operating heavy and light duty fleets in 10 countries across Europe and Asia right now. Shell's reducing waste from our operations and increasing recycling of plastics. We're helping improve air quality by reducing emissions from our operations, providing cleaner ways to power transport and industry. Working with our partners and suppliers to develop new collaborations is key, and this is part of that. We'll join with others across industry, governments, our customers, and supply chains to protect nature. Shell also works with leading universities and research institutes to learn from their expertise and to give them a chance to apply their work in the real world, such as in our operations. When directly investing in projects, we make long-term commitments, leveraging Shell's scale to help realize nature's potential in tackling climate change. We work closely with project developers, local communities, governments, NGOs, and other experts to ensure that we can make a difference. Technology, which is the area of Shell that I sit in my role, is vital as Shell works to turn challenges of today into opportunities of tomorrow. Collaboration is vital. It's an aspect in the way that we develop and deploy technology. And technology collaboration is fundamental to helping Shell to play its part in making the future. We also work with businesses that are just starting up through a variety of channels. One, as John mentioned, is Shell's Game Changer program. The team helps to foster unproven early stage ideas that have the potential to impact the future of energy. In turn, the startups bring new approaches and new thinking into Shell. We really want to learn from these engagements. We know that bringing the best and brightest scientists in agriculture together will help to enable and we'll be able to create the technology needed to both reduce agriculture's environmental impact and to bring value to farmers' businesses. The next decade of agriculture is already being shaped by the sustainable technologies that maybe many of you are working in, and open collaboration I see as key to that sustainable future for agriculture. And that's a lot of why Shell's so proud to be partnering with SVG Ventures and Thrive to launch this Climate Smart Agriculture Challenge. It will allow us to explore the vast agriculture innovation ecosystem for the ideas we need to realize the step change in sustainability for agriculture. And we're excited to work with the entrepreneurs to bring their ideas to reality.
That's fantastic, Julie. And thank you for the overview and the insights there in terms of what you're focused on. I mean, obviously, we're delighted to be part of this challenge. Why did Shell decide to take this on and put this challenge out there, in the first place?
So Shell's developing a variety of tools to reach our low carbon ambitions. As you can imagine, it's pretty ambitious targets we have, and we need to look across a lot of channels. We're investing in nature-based solutions through projects that work with ecosystems, forests, grasslands, wetlands, coastal zones, projects that improve sustainability. The NBS projects absorb more CO2 or prevent the release of greenhouse gases, while also delivering hopefully benefits to local communities and biodiversity. And so working with nature is one of the ways that needs to be advanced so we can reach our targets and achieve the Paris Agreement aspirations. This is a new space for Shell. We're partnering with startups and established players such as Thrive to maximize our impact. We need to learn. This challenge is really an exciting opportunity for us to meet innovators in the space and identify opportunities for us to work together towards common goals. Quick example, Shell has a relatively recently penned agreement with Prairie View A&M University in Texas. And we've partnered this year to establish a nature-based solutions research program through a 5-year agreement to innovate through climate smart agriculture. I see this challenge as another opportunity to accelerate in a similar way.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And we are, exactly the same in terms of, we've got big challenges ahead, and, it's really innovation and it's an entrepreneur that can kind of change the game here. So we're excited to to see who's out there that's going to solve some of these problems. And in terms of agriculture, I mean, obviously, agriculture's role in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and enabling, carbon sequestration, what do you see that role as being, there, and how we can help them?
So there's really two parts to it, and I'm by no means an expert. You heard my background. I'm by no means an expert in agriculture, which is why these partnerships are so important. But there's two parts. One's around reducing emissions, and one's around enabling carbon uptake through biomass and ultimately soil. So how do we reduce the existing emissions that are a fairly significant portion of our total global greenhouse gas emissions? Reducing emissions from practice changes, such as reducing application of synthetic fertilizers, that these innovations that really require new technology around novel soil amendments, pathways to improve nutrient efficiency are one big part of this. Second, we also really have to work to enhance carbon sequestration, particularly by increasing soil carbon stocks. If we can find a way to do this, again, linked with changing agriculture practices, whether it's reduced tillage, enhanced cover cropping, we could enable kind of gigaton scale annual emissions reductions on top of savings from reducing the emissions in agriculture. And that's absolutely key to achieving our ambitions.
Yeah, excellent. And in terms of technology playing a role in sustainable agriculture practice, like how do you see that, or what are you seeing there on that side today?
There's, this is where my heart goes out, because we can leverage technology in so many different ways and think about technology in ways that maybe they haven't been applied before. So we can help shift land management practices, perhaps, to be more efficient and climate friendly, while making the act of working land easier for farmers. That might mean integrating data. We're very interested in how we can use data for farm management practices to look at climate and crop yields, make informed decisions. Data-driven decision making is a big part across all of our businesses. Or even things like developing unmanned robots that could go through row crops, remove weeds. There's so many ways that just my mind could imagine, but I'm really excited for this challenge to really understand what are the entrepreneurs in this space seeing as the cutting edge, both physical and digital technology that could help us advance sustainable agriculture practices.
Brilliant, awesome. And in terms of the obstacles you see for farmers facing, when they're participating in carbon sequestration practices, what are those obstacles? Like, what do you kind of see, or, is a challenge there for farmers?
I think first and foremost, to actually enable change, the change has to be commercially viable and profitable for farmers. And this is true with any change. You need to actually get to the hearts of the people doing the work and ensure that we're not putting technology on that doesn't actually enable their business. So we need to ensure, any moves towards regenerative farming practices are endorsed by farmers, but we also need to ensure that it doesn't hurt their competitiveness. That might mean that we need to look at government incentives where required and really understand that system as a whole to keep that in mind, keep the profitability and sustainability of farmers in mind. And then I think also helping farmers seize new revenue streams from things like voluntary carbon markets. The opportunity to educate around carbon finance and incentives along those lines is, a fairly large one. And in many cases, agricultural practices that increase soil carbon or reduce emissions also hopefully lead to healthier crops and win-win solutions that we can find through this challenge.
Yeah. Definitely. And I mean, climate change is around us all. I think you can't, watch the TV, open a book, open any piece of media, and you can see it's real. It's happening today. I mean, we're here in California and we're experiencing it head on. What are you noticing from your customers? Like, what are they demanding? In terms of this area, and are there kind of like specific areas that you're seeing as a change in customer demand?
It's a pretty broad question, and our customer base is pretty broad, but I think, I'll focus in on a couple areas. Certainly, Shell customers in the agricultural sector, farmers are facing increasing operational costs due to increased fertilizer prices. They're, demanding smarter, more efficient lubrication solutions that allow their businesses to grow and their equipment to operate more reliably, but also facing increasing equipment costs, a shrinking workforce pool, very similar to what we're seeing across a lot of industries, and increasing consumer expectations for high quality food that's affordable but sustainable. Beyond the agricultural sector, we also see customers of all sectors demanding high quality, trustworthy carbon credits to offset their unavoidable emissions. Just about every sector we encounter is really looking at recognizing there's a piece they can do through decarbonizing activities, and then there's a piece that is going to require carbon credits that will pass litmus tests that are still being tested out across the globe. So I think we're seeing the demand across the board on in this area.
Yeah. That's excellent, Julie. And maybe we can bring in the audience, here. I know we've got some questions and we had a poll as well. Maybe Alicia, if you maybe want to share the results of the poll that we're seeing, and we can kind of take a look and see if we see any surprises there. So that first question, what excites you most about climate smart agriculture? And it looks like 40% of the audience are saying reducing carbon footprint. Okay. No surprise there, Julie.
No, well, and it's exciting to see, though, because again, some of these things are really we're learning in this industry, in the sector, and so it's exciting to see the energy from this audience around reducing carbon footprint. It's certainly a strong focus for us at Shell, but I'm glad to see that amongst the audience as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can see very closely aligned, soil health and advancing farm management systems, again, very much linked to the same thing here. And then I'm not surprised by this. What does agri-tech startups need most? 38% of the audience said funding, and then 32% said opportunities to test and pilot a new technology.
I'm super excited to see that answer, because I think this is a big part of the reason that I'm excited for accelerators like this, and one of the places that I see Shell's ability to partner in with startups in this field is really in that opportunity to pilot and also to scale. And look, we're a fairly large company. I would love to say, I've come out of entrepreneurial companies, would love to say we can do everything super fast, but we really require, but what we can do is scale. And it's and provide those kind of opportunities to put the capital behind scaling, which is really exciting to see that answer.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think, obviously kind of front and center entrepreneurs are looking for funding, and we see that a lot, but at the same time, getting to prove out their technologies in a real world environment with a big customer, I think is such a big thing in terms of giving credibility, there as well. So that's awesome. Thanks, Julie. So maybe we'll open up the, we can look at the questions, see on our Q&A. So we'll just open that up there. And needless to say, if anybody has any other questions, or if you want to upvote, please do that. So maybe Julie, you can see these as well on our Q&A. So Karen has, what methods of generating carbon offsets in ag excite Shell most?
It's a good question, and I don't know that. I think one of the things that we're looking for in generating carbon offsets is the ability to measure and quantify and certify those offsets. So I think it might be less about the specific methodology and more about how do we make sure the quality of the offsets are measurable. And I think that's where some of the data integrity pieces of technology might come into play to ensure that whatever we're providing as offsets, especially as we provide these offsets to our customers, that we have the integrity and really know that we have enough measurement behind what's going into them to feel comfortable with what we're providing. So that's one of the places that certainly from my perspective, we're really looking to learn from this community to understand what does provide that level of integrity.
Okay, thanks, Julie. I'm seeing Joe James. He's got a few questions in there. One is, can you conduct an analysis to determine the top 10 crops which will capture the most CO2 per acre over the next 10 years? And obviously it's a good pitch here. I think our CRBBP process uses biocrops to capture CO2, provide environmental services when we sequester the captured carbon in bioproducts. Thanks, Joe. Good pitch there as well. And any particular thoughts on that, Julie?
So, the bottom line is I don't know. I'm sure that an analysis could be conducted to determine, and I don't know what's already out there in literature and scientific study that is really looking what covers and captures the most CO2 per acre. I know in Shell, we're looking across a lot of different areas for nature-based solutions, really, understanding not just in agriculture, but forest wetlands, understanding what kind of the impact of things like mangrove planting, has to really look at this. But for this particular challenge, we're focused on the agriculture sector. And so diving in more deeply to the top 10 crops might be a really interesting study to look at.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, thanks, Joe. And you put in your email information as well. I think it's a really interesting thing to measure, in terms of, by the different crops here. So we wouldn't mind kind of following up on that from a Thrive perspective as well. Dimaris Zappini, I probably did a bad pronunciation there. Does Shell have their own ruler to ensure metrics are captured as it relates to your SDGs and ESGs, and how globally standardized is it?
So, we're just starting to look at, some of the metrics and some of the guidelines around this. We're just starting to see projects under, Vera's methodologies for improved agricultural land management. So, some of these things, it's, do we have our own ruler? No, we're really looking to establish a global ruler that, that measures across different regulatory markets, which is challenging because in this space, you see different practices coming across the globe. But I think as the market matures, we're very interested in monitoring that quite closely and ensuring that any projects we take on are matching local methodologies, but also trying to influence how those get commonized across the globe to ensure we have kind of equal standards for how we monitor and how we kind of ensure everything will pass muster across the globe.
Okay. I'm just going to move down to some of the, I see Karen has another very popular question. I think, Julie, can you share any learnings Shell has had from previous collaborations working with startups?
Absolutely. And this is a great question and near and dear to my heart because does it always go smoothly? No, we spend a lot of time. I consider myself fortunate to be in the position I am as an experienced hire into Shell and having some experience in the entrepreneurial world prior to coming in. There's kind of you almost need a decoder ring to work between the large kind of corporate governance of a company like Shell and the small scale, and very rapidly moving world of startups. So, one of the examples I'll give is that, Shell might think it's perfectly fine to have 60-day terms and we should push things out, for invoicing. And it's mostly because of the complexity of our finance systems. To a startup, that might mean not making payroll. And so we spend a lot of time, especially in the Game Changer team in Shell's Ventures group, really trying to drive that mentality into Shell and ensure that we're developing fit for purpose processes that allow us to engage, because the reason we have a deep-seated reason for wanting to engage with startups to learn, and we need to move faster in the energy transition. We need to do things quicker. So very open to listening and learning, but yes, there are certainly a lot of areas that we want to continue to improve on. I think the other side, on the positive, is that the opportunity for mentorship with startups is really great, and it's something that we've seen a lot of examples where we have been engaging and seen a technology that might even be intended in the startup's mind for a certain market, and we go, wait a minute, that could totally apply in another area that's a real friction point for a company like Shell, and been able to help companies pivot and take on new markets that might help them grow quicker. So I think are there frictions? Absolutely, but I think the mutual benefit far outweighs that if we get the communications right, and that's a lot of what we try to do with the Game Changer and Ventures programs at Shell.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks, Julie. And I mean, just related to that, I saw a question, but it's after moving down earlier. Somebody from Zimbabwe sent a question about, applications coming from Africa, or entrepreneurs coming from Africa always have maybe a tougher time than other regions. And I know in our experience, we ran our Thrive Challenge in Africa a couple of years ago, and it's a continued area of focus for us. And one of the areas that we've put in place is a Thrive Academy. So if there's entrepreneurs that we're seeing that are, maybe not making the cut, but we've opened up an academy there as well, I think, to help them out. I'll take one last question because I know we're kind of coming up tight on time. Miki Sude, in your opinion, what's hindering deploying and scaling up decarbonization activities and technologies? And what, besides funding, might help do that?
So I think I'll be very honest that, ensuring that we can decarbonize in a sustainable way for business is hard. That we have set, and I'm very proud to work for Shell because I think we've set some very strong ambitions and we will achieve those ambitions. But ultimately, we need to generate capital, and we need to, much of decarbonization involves changing consumer behaviors and changing industry behaviors across different sectors, which we might have no control over. So this agricultural challenge is one that it really highlights that when we talked earlier a little bit about ensuring that whatever we implement actually changes the lives of farmers in a positive way that allows them to still have a profitable business and ideally, increasing yields while also decarbonizing. Those are the kind of unicorn things that we need to pull out to truly unlock a decarbonized future. And that's true across the board. And so it means it's hard, which I thrive in the area of, this is part of having innovation in your title. You have to like doing hard things, but it's a really exciting opportunity to really see how we can look at the system as a whole and really affect how we can decarbonize in a mutually beneficial way, because just setting a target doesn't make it happen ultimately.
Yeah. That's really, really great, Julie. And just for our audience, we've got a lot of questions in there. We'll answer some of these live, and we'll also get a copy of these questions, and we'll try to get back to as many people as we possibly can. So thank you for all those questions. And Julie, great chatting with you. Really interesting to hear so much about Shell and what you're doing in this area. I think we chatted earlier. Shell is such a massive brand in the world, and it's really interesting to see, the focus on innovation and natural-based solutions. So we're truly excited to get on this journey with you, and looking forward to kicking things off in Portugal at the Web Summit and meeting some entrepreneurs there as well. Julie, great to chat. I think we're covering both coasts here. I'm in California. Julie is in Massachusetts, and I was going to say Boston, but she's in Duxbury. So great to connect with you on both parts of the states here.
And thank you so much for having me, John. And thank you to everyone participating. The questions really are great. Just to try to get to scroll through them, and really appreciate the engagement. And I'm really excited to see this the challenge kick off. And thank you to Thrive for driving this forward. We're super excited to continue the collaboration and let the journey begin.
Likewise, thank you very much. And for our audience there's a QR code there if you want to get more information, or you can go onto our website, thriveagrifood.com, and you can learn more and see what's involved in the program. And then finally, I'd like to thank both our teams. This has been several months of design and development. Big thank you to the Shell team, Jess, Matt. Thank you for all your support, and our Thrive team, Karen, Helen, and Alicia. Thank you, and look forward to seeing you at the Web Summit in Portugal. Take care.